Hello everyone. This video is made as a part of video project for operations analysis course. We have chosen the topic bullwhip effect. Please find our team details on this slide. So, what is bullwhip effect? Bullwhip effect refers to the fact that when a small change or variation in the customer demand from the steady state levels creates an increasing uncertainty or variation of demand from retailer to wholesaler to manufacturer. As we move away from the customer, we see higher variation in demands. For example, if the customer demand increases by a small amount, increased uncertainty at higher level leads to increased order sizes, which eventually leads to increased inventories, often much more than actually required, hence increasing holding costs. This phenomena is referred to as the bullwhip effect. In this graph, on the right, we have the retailer, followed by the distribution centers in the middle, and manufacturers on the left. This graph explains how a small variation in the quantity ordered by the customers leads to an increased variation in the quantity ordered by the retailers and a very large variation in the quantity ordered by the distribution centers, which the manufacturers have to produce. This graph also demonstrates bullwhip effect in action. A customer order spike of a small amplitude leads to order spikes of increasing amplitudes in the orders of warehouse, distribution center, and manufacturer. Bullwhip effect has a very negative impact on business. It leads to a very high or very low levels of inventory in the supply chain due to a small increase or decrease in these customer demand respectively. Excess of inventory can lead to increased holding costs and might even lead to wasted resources if the customer demand doesn't increase soon. Whereas insufficient inventory can damage the goodwill and customer relations of the company, hence causing irreparable harm. To analyze bullwhip effect, let's analyze some typical graphs of the beer game. The setup here is very similar to the game played in the class. The objective of the game is to deliver the customer orders with minimum delay possible while keeping low inventory levels, that is, minimize the holding as well as the back order costs. Initial customer demand for beer is stable at 100 units per week and the entire supply chain is in steady state, each with an inventory of 400 units. The customer demand moves from 100 to 400 per week in the second week and then remains constant. As we can see in the left graph, the order spike increases from the customer to the retailer, to the wholesaler, to the distributor, and finally reaches a very high level at the brewery. On the right, we have the graph of the surplus. As we can see, finally we are left with huge inventories at each level, especially 60,000 units at the brewery, which take more than 2 years to deplete given the current customer demand. These are the graphs of the team Daredevil for the beer game, which we had played in class. As we can see, the customer orders as well as the inventory increases from the retailer to the wholesaler to the distributor and finally reaching very high levels at the factory. These graphs clearly demonstrate bullwhip effect in the supply chain managed by our classmates. This motivates the need for studying bullwhip effect and its causes so that we don't end up with a similar situation in a real supply chain, having disastrous consequences.
Let us now try to understand the causes of bullwhip effect via the beer game. With the information available to players during the game, we need to understand the feedback loop that governs each player order decision. At the end of each round of the game, the player calculates his current inventory by adding the incoming beer and subtracting the outgoing units of beer. He then checks the current demand for beer by his customers and his current inventory and sets his target inventory accordingly. And then he decides how many beers to order next. The player supplier will do something similar like this and will eventually deliver the beer that the player ordered in the next round, after the lead time. The feedback loop is quite simple, but the problem is an important part of the loop, which is the supplier activities, is invisible to the player and hence out of his control. So what really happens is this: When there is some spike in demand, the player places a larger order and waits for beer to arrive. He waits. If less beer is delivered by his supplier than what he really needs, the number of units on back order begins to increase. So do the costs and the player's anxiety level. And if the order never arrived, he would order even more next time. So even though the units that are on back order have already been ordered, and by now his supplier might be aware of the increased demand, players may want to add the part of the order which he didn't receive to the next round as well, just to be on the safer side. So the outgoing order is increased from actual demand to actual demand plus this back order. This creates the feedback loop as shown in this flowchart. This behavior leads orders to increase exponentially across level for even a spike demand by his customer, and eventually a huge amount of beer is delivered. So this causes the bullwhip effect. Now let us try to understand the causes in general. A major cause of the effect is lack of information between each supply chain link. Manager can perceive a product demand quite differently within different links of the supply chain. So they can order larger or smaller quantities of the product than what is needed due to an over or under reaction to the supply chain. Also, companies may not immediately place an order with their supplier. They might want to accumulate the demand first, so they can order weekly or monthly. This behavior creates variability in demand, so there may be a surge in demand at some stage followed by no demand after. Another cause would be wholesale discounts and other cost changes. Buyer may want to take advantage on discounts offered during a short period of time. This can cause uneven production and distorted demand information. Change in external condition causing uneven demand and production can also lead to this effect. We'll talk about this in a case study later. There could be different motivation at each level of supply chain to order more than what is currently demanded by its downstream customers. For example, retailer may forecast an increase in demand and order units as safety stock, while wholesaler may try to take benefit from bulk discount. At the same time, manufacturer may order raw material in larger quantities to bring down his cost of production. This increase in order quantity from actual demand at each level will together contribute to the effect. Here is an analysis of the factors that influence the effect. Let's talk about some of them. Firstly, time delay. An increase in time delay increases the effect due to more waiting and uncertainty in receiving orders. As forecast error increases, the quantity ordered and quantity demanded will differ more at each level, increasing the amplitude of the effect. With more price fluctuations, there is an increase in fluctuation in demand of product, causing an increase in bullwhip effect. As you can see, out of all the variables listed here, only increase of information sharing will reduce this effect.
So in this section we'll look at strategies for avoiding the bullwhip effect. So there are two central ideas here: ignoring back orders and considering orders which are currently being transported. Let's look at the first one. So a naive strategy which most people follow is that they calculate their outgoing orders as incoming orders plus the difference in the target inventory level which they want to maintain and the current inventory level and the back order quantity. But if you observe carefully here, the back order quantity is being double counted. So what I mean by that is, say in a certain week we faced a more than average demand, and so this incoming orders term went up. So because of this our outgoing orders would go up. So we don't need to compensate for the shortage again by adding another term for back order quantity. So our improved strategy would be to ignore this term and calculate our outgoing orders as incoming orders plus target inventory level minus the current inventory level. So let's look at the effect of this improvement. The green curve here shows the inventory level at the retailer. So ideally we want this level to be around 400. which is the average amount of goods being ordered by the customer. But we can see here that the peaks are around 3000, which is much higher than the desired level, but still it's lower than what we would get by following the naive strategy. So let's see how to bring it down further by using our second idea, including orders in transit. So as we said earlier, there is a lead time of 3 weeks to every order which we place. So what it means is that at any point there are certain amounts of goods which are currently being transported or are part of the supply line. So at steady state by Little's law, the supply line level would be at delivery delay times incoming orders. So we try to maintain the supply line level at LS. So in a certain week, say the current supply line level is less than LS, then what that means is in the coming weeks less than average goods are about to arrive. So we compensate that by ordering more. Similarly, if in a certain week the supply line level is more than LS, then more than average goods are about to arrive, so we order less. So let's see how this impacts our dependency graph. So we'll have an additional node for supply line, and as we saw, as the supply line level increases, our outgoing orders will decrease. So that is indicated by an edge here, and as we order more, the new orders, they keep getting added to the supply line, so the supply line level will increase. So that is indicated by a positive edge here. So our new improved strategy would be to calculate our outgoing orders as incoming orders plus the difference in the target inventory level and current inventory level plus the difference in the target supply line level and the current supply line level. So let's look at the impact of this further improvement. So as we can see here, the retailer inventory that is indicated by the green curve here, that is almost average around 400. I mean, it's closer to 400 than what we got earlier. So with these two improvements, we are closer to an optimal strategy.
After building the theoretical foundation, we'll look into few ways to tone down the Bullwick effect in real life scenarios. A good strategy that can be used to minimize the Bullwick effect is through improved communication throughout the supply chain and better demand forecasting, not just for the end users but also for the manufacturers. Typically, business owners tend to ignore signals being sent through the supply chain and instead focus on the end user demand. This can cause a mismatch between the raw material supplier and the end users. Businesses should also try to minimize the minimum order quantity. A minimum order quantity is the fewest number of units required to be purchased at one time. Certain products have high minimum order quantity for end customers, resulting in overall high gaps between subsequent orders. Lowering the minimum order quantity to an optimal level will help create smoother order patterns. Firms should also try to consistently offer good product prices. Stable pricing throughout the year instead of many promotional offers and discounts may help create stable and predictable demand, and which in turn avoid surges resulting from promotional discounts. Improving customer service and eliminating causes for customer order cancellations are other measures that ensure smooth ordering pattern. Businesses should improve their raw material planning process. Purchase managers generally tend to order in advance and keep high buffers of raw material to avoid production disruption. Raw material planning needs to be directly linked to the production plan. The production plan needs to be released sufficiently in advance, which will help purchase managers order only a specific amount of required inventory. Next, we'll look into few case studies where Bullwick effect is in action. The Bullwick effect can be observed in the current pandemic as well. There has been sudden increase in the demand of essentials like toilet papers, food due to panic buying and hoarding. Due to the Bullwick effect, the demand spikes amplify from customers to retailers to distributors to manufacturers. The manufacturers, overwhelmed with sudden unanticipated spikes in demand, force the workers to do hours of overtime in a pandemic, which puts a lot of them at risk of the infection of the virus itself. Delivery systems are overwhelmed, leading to large delay in deliveries. The demand is bound to fall greatly in the next few months, condemning labor to unemployment and leaving parties in the supply chain with huge stocks of inventories which may take years to deplete. The next example we're going to look into is China's economic slowdown during the 2015. It was triggered by the implosion of the Shanghai Stock Exchange Composite Index, which lost over 40% of its value in a very short span of time. The SSE carnage led to widespread stock market decline all over the world. After the SSE recovered, the bullwhip pattern reversed at each echelon. Bush ordered both to cover expected higher sales and to quickly replenish depleted inventories. However, because of the cuts in capacity during a downturn, upstream companies take time to respond to orders. Consequently, as orders flood in, lead times grow, suppliers start allocating partial shipments to customers, and customers respond by boosting orders even more in an effort to garner a greater percentage of the allocation. All this causes significant swings in inventories and orders. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this presentation on the bullwhip effect. Thank you.